Hello, everybody. This is Krunal here again, and today we have Vineti Anand with us. And I would like to welcome Vineti. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Krunal. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, Vineti, we have been, searching for one of the best guests on our podcast, and today finally we approached Vineti, and she finally agreed, and now we got time slot for her. And thank you, Vineti, for allocating time for us. And it will be a pleasure for us to know about your migration journey and about yourself. So, please tell us about yourself, what you do, and are you in Melbourne or Sydney?
Krunal, I am in Melbourne,
Great.
and my migration journey isn't very different from many people in Australia. But before we get into that, a little bit about myself. I am a mother of two kids. I work in the corporate environment as in the program management space. I also run my own organization called Australian Professional of Color. And it's in line with a lot of migration challenges that we
Right.
face. So it will be interesting to touch on that at some stage. But I'm also a life coach. So a lot of people know about life coaching, especially in migrated communities.
Mhm.
But it is something that, through my migration journey, I felt that there's a gaping hole in the kind of mental support that is given to a lot of migrants in Australia generally. And I had also, qualified and practiced life coaching, and I'm still practicing life coaching a lot. So that's a lot on my
Oh,
plate, but
yes, yes, it is. So tell us, what is life coaching? So a lot of people don't know this term. So let's get started with this. What is life coaching? Life is there. Why we need coaching? Right.
yeah,
Great.
absolutely. And I think that's the challenge when people
It
wonder
is. It is.
why do we need to have a life coach or somebody else to tell me how to lead my life? But very often we get stuck into our own thinking, our own place, and it's very hard to navigate through a dark place when you are stuck in. And while there are many streams which help you recover or heal from the dark place, life coaches actually help you reach your goal. So our main aim is to give you clarity around what really matters for you in your life, and what are the little action that you can take to move towards a more happy and fulfilling life. So
Right.
I usually distinguish it from any other type of counseling in terms of coaches make you move forward, and counseling and heal and other type of healing processes are actually, that's what it is. It's to heal your past, to let you overcome the traumatic experience that you have had. And once you have done that, you want to move forward in life, and you just
Right.
want some clarity, you want to set some goals. That's when you come to a life coach. It's really a success coach in whatever field in life you want it to be.
Great. Great. So let someone is so is it something had to happen to me to have a life coach to guide me, or I can hire a life coach any point?
At any point. Actually, that's a
Right.
great question, Kranal. Many of my clients are already successful people,
Mhm.
right? So you have attained some level of success in your life, and you want to do more, you want to achieve more. So, a lot of my clients call me midlife crisis coach as well, because you know they have migrated, they have made them their success in this new country, they've got kids, they have achieved a certain professional goals or success as well, and now they're wondering what next for them, right?
Right.
And because they are such high achievers, just sitting on their bumps is not going to help them
No.
feel happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
So life coaches actually, at any stage, at stage when you're feeling stuck, you don't know which direction you need to take or which direction is best for you. Also, when you are actually, you've already achieved what you wanted to, and you want to know what's the next big thing in your life, and that you come to a life coach. So yeah, you can have a life coach at any stage in your life.
Any stage. Great. You know what I'm asking about, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I get that question
I'm
quite
asking about
often,
myself,
Kunal.
like, so if I wanted to get a life coach, where do I, like, what help I can get? See, for me, it's similar, that's what, you're quite spot on, what you want to achieve, where you want to go. I'm in my, middle life crisis, and then that's where I got stuck, like, so now what to do? And then I started this podcasting, like I'm studying and all that. And I said, let's start something that helps the community. So That's something, yeah, it's a product of, I think that midlife crisis question, I would say. All right. So, do you mind telling us, like, how old are you and how does it feel to be at this age?
So I'm 40.
Yeah.
So that's my next decade into my life. So
Into new
I've
life,
done.
right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And where I'm at is, I'm pretty successful in the corporate environment. I'm doing exactly what I want to do in corporate. And, this life coaching came as my own, challenge of what more, what next,
Yeah.
where do I want to be? And as a part of that questioning to myself and helping many people, I also identified in the journey what really mattered to me, and that was when the Australian Professional of Color was born. I wanted to use what I had learned in the professional environment as a migrant into the country. The baggage we bring when we migrate into this country, the cultural barriers and the beliefs that we actually bring with us, and which becomes at some point hindrance in climbing the corporate ladder. So
Right.
learning through the experiences and also learning through many of these stories that I worked with through my coaching, I came along with my partner Sangeeta Mulchandani, and we established this community about a year and a half ago, which has really taken a fire, as we call it. There's such a big demand in professional people who are migrating to this country, who are similar age as us, who are looking for people to connect, who look like them, have similar challenges, come together, grow from there, and build a community of trust and growth. So that's in terms of, I suppose that's the question that you asked. Is
Oh,
that
yes, yes, yes. So now moving on to, you just mentioned that this Australian colors of professionals, right? Or
Australian Professional of Colors,
professional
APOC?
epoch, right? Okay. So Australian professional of colors. What is it? The organization and what it does. Tell me about it more.
So, in a nutshell, it's an organization that builds culturally intelligent leaders, which, if I have to elaborate, is a community where you can learn from other successful leaders who are culturally diverse,
Yeah.
from a different background. Many of them who have migrated into this country, while some of them who have actually grown in this country, but because they've grown in a very second generation cultural environment, they still have certain value system and belief system that kind of sometimes hinders into their growth in the environment. Or we do touch about racism and inclusion a little bit, but that's not our core strength. Where we really want to, and as a life coach, my aim is always to talk about how we move forward, right?
Right.
We
Right.
can get stuck into the conversation, which is year and years long, about racism and inclusion, but how are we going to break those barriers and move forward? And how we do it is we give them a platform to network. We get some amazing speakers, like we're doing a podcast, we do some live speaking gigs, we get professional coaches and mentors to come into the community, talk about their journey, help the newbies into this organization, to learn from them, learn from the lived experience, learn from the exceptionally trained coaches who
Coach.
are from the similar backgrounds, right? So we
Right.
do we
They're
do
talented
overcome
overseas, but when they get in here, yes, they are not no more considered talented.
talented. Yes, and there's so much more than being talented in this country. When we
Yes.
I mean, as we talk about my migration journey, and I'll get a little bit more into that, about my challenges that I've faced as a talented migrant.
Right.
And most of it is not so much as that we are not talented, it's the barriers that we have put on ourselves because of the way we have been brought up, the way we think growth happens. We have a very set mindset around this is how we grow. But when you come to a new country, the growth is not in a similar pattern as what you have thought the growth is.
Correct.
Even
Correct.
success, even
Yeah.
success is not the same. The
No,
success definition changes when you move into this
it does.
country.
Yeah.
So I think those are the things that the community provides, is exposing and letting people know that just because they're doing the same thing for 20 years, they are less successful than people who have climbed the corporate ladder, or even if they've had multiple businesses, things
Right.
like that. So that's what we really pride ourselves, and a lot of people who have joined. We've got over 1,000 followers at this stage. So
Great.
So everybody who has touched us or we have touched their lives have felt good. We hear from
Great.
them to say they found a family away from a family. That's
Right.
how we
Understand.
call
Understand.
that
So
community.
1,000 people worth of family. Great. So let's say somebody wants to join APOC, how they can join.
So we are launching a community-based app very soon. But at the moment, we have got a Facebook group and there is LinkedIn that they can follow. Whatever we do, we announce on the page. So there are events that happen that people can attend. There are get-togethers. There are sessions that are held. Everything is actually at the moment on LinkedIn, and some of it is on Facebook as well. So if people really wanted to join, they can follow us on LinkedIn,
Right.
and
Great.
from there they would hear all the latest updates that's going to be coming up this year. We've got a lot planned in 2023.
Right, great. And we would love to see all the helps that migrants get. Because of these migrant podcasts, I had a lot of stories that people are alone. Yes, they as a migrant they feel alone. They feel left behind from the other people in Australia. Like even similar community. Like let's say I'm from Indian community, but still I cannot match up with this community because they've been here for 10 years and I can't catch up with the cultural differences. So yes, I think your organization is a like gold basically, and that can help a lot of migrants. And I think we don't have any other organization like this in Australia, right? No. So
No.
yeah, so that's something I urge to all viewers that please go and visit. I put the link in a description. Please go to APAC website, the LinkedIn page, and you can have some sort of help or guidance, a code, in your field or apart from the field, at least making some good friends. So please join that. Okay, so moving forward to the next question. uh, Tell us about your migration journey. So first question comes here is, who inspired you to come to Australia?
So I'm one of those people who were not inspired to come to Australia. I was
Right.
actually I was bound to be here because of getting married to my husband, who had
Okay.
migrated
Was
here, right?
right, right,
So,
right.
like many women who are the wives of a person who is already living here, I was
Right.
one of them. So, and the
Okay.
reason I say I was not inspired is because at the time we had to migrate here. I was in US and I was doing my MBA in one of the elite universities. So my dream was American dream. I wanted
Right.
to settle there. I had a clear path of success, right? Like I was studying there, I had my F1 visa, I was eligible for 1 year of paid work as soon as I graduated. I in between so I also got married during my graduation. So I
Oh,
got
wow.
married and then I went back to complete my graduation.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was a bit of tug of war, wanting to stay there
Great.
versus wanting having to come here. In favor of my husband, and I still sometimes tell him that he got lucky because global crisis hit. It was in 2008 and 2009 where it became very clear that
Yes.
the future was becoming very unstable. If you were abroad or anywhere, and
Yeah.
especially US, a lot of people were losing their jobs, they were being sent back to their country.
Yeah.
So I think that became the deciding factor, apart from the fact that I was lewd in saying that there were good beaches in Melbourne, until I touched the water here and I realized that it isn't
What
really
a
the
joke.
case.
What a joke.
And that's a funny story because he sent me all the photographs of beautiful beaches and he said, you know
Right.
what, I love water. Like I absolutely love being close to water. So he said, you know what, it's a nice place. You can be in water. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the global crisis hit, and one of the biggest reason that I chose Melbourne was that as a spouse I could work, which wasn't the case if I decided to stay in US.
Mm.
um, so from there, I obviously moved here. It was a struggle the first 8 months because the crisis wasn't just US or India; it was also here. It was hard to get the job. Obviously, I had like many migrants. We are overqualified, right? So we are
Oh,
overqualified for the jobs that we do.
yeah.
So um, I wasn't willing to initially take small jobs. I wanted
Right.
to work which was appropriate to my level. I had few years of experience working back in India. Then I did my master's. So I wasn't willing initially to start as a newbie, in this country. But when you sit without a job, dependent on somebody for about 5 6 months, it starts to eat into your mental health very badly. Especially if you're a high achiever, as many of us are who enter into this country.
Yep.
Finally, through reference, after applying for many jobs and hearing that you don't have the local experience and all the standard responses that you get in this country,
Nice.
a friend referred me for a job in her organization, and it was like within 2 days I got the job and I was rolling like on the next week. And I got what I feel good and proud about is that job I didn't have to step down. So initially I was willing to work in Costco as a taster, because it came to that point where I wasn't getting job. I was sitting at home doing nothing. So I decided, maybe I'll just do something, go out, talk to people,
At least talking to people and going out, that makes more sense rather than sitting home.
But and that story I share is because when I did go and talk to the manager at Costco, he looked at me and he said, you would get bored very quickly. This is a very monotonous job, and no. He spoke to me in my interview. He said, you're not made for this. So he said, I will still give you the job. And I remember the hourly rate he offered me was $19 at that time, which was a lot of money for a migrant who had come.
Just to get started.
And I said, I'll do it. And he said, I would still recommend you not to do it, because you will get stuck into this. You'll start making money and you will really lose what you are here for. I thank him that he, discouraged me from joining. And I sat through and I continued to apply aggressively. And then I had a breakthrough through a friend in the reference. And from there, it's just been an upward journey, Krunal. There is nothing amazing that has happened, changing jobs, getting promoted, moving up the ladder, hit the midlife crisis, dropped out for a year from the corporate, did my, put my head into life coaching, studied for a year, did a lot of coaching, did a lot of public speaking gigs, all that stuff. And, then it's again, what's next? And then the APOC came about. So it's a very standard journey, but, with its own challenges.
You feel like it's standard, but for us, it's an extraordinary journey. So, okay, let's talk about this. A lot of viewers will need to know, because right now what's happening, like US and Australia and UK and Canada, they're competing for the migrants. So tell me about this. What is the main difference living in US as an Indian person and living in Australia with an Indian ethnicity? What is the difference?
Look, when I was in US, I think they were more accepting, and the barriers of your culture was less as compared to when I came to Australia. I think I want to be careful using the word racism, but I have felt a little bit more discriminated in Australia as an Indian than I ever felt in US. And being in university, I came across multitude of culturally diverse people. Just the nature, because you get a lot of international students coming into the university in America as opposed to in Australia when I came here in a corporate level. So finding a cohort of tribe was easier in US as compared to finding that cohort of tribe in Australia. For me, right? That's my journey, and I think that was the challenge.
Yeah, right.
So that was one difference that I absolutely felt. And for years and years, I really wanted to go back for the same reason.
But to US, right? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Right. So what about finances? Let's say if we compare, how's the life in US? Like, let's say if somebody is in sitting somewhere in the world and want to think whether should I go to Australia or US, where can I make good finances? What's your opinion on that?
So look, this is a very interesting question, because finances, it's something that really depends on an individual, how much you want to make and how experimental are you, right? So if you want a very trajectory, a standard life where you just grow from pillar to pillar, get promoted, in a corporate level. You go to US, you have better salaries, you have lower expenses, the standard of, even like when I was in university, and I'll share this, I was getting $1,000 as a stipend, and my fees was paid off because I was working in the university, and I got my scholarships and stuff. So I was getting stipend of $1,000 a month, and that was more than enough for me to pay up my rents, live, do my groceries
Of
and
course,
stuff.
yes, everything, every basic things that
Everything,
get fulfilled, right? You don't
everything.
have to
And
pay the fees as well, right?
yeah, I didn't have to pay the
Yes.
fees, and
Right.
I also saved money on that. So if
Wow.
fees, like I'm comparing it to somebody who was professionally working there, right? I
Hmm.
could live a proper life in $1,000 a month, barring the fees. And somebody who's operating there, who's getting 4,000 as a starting salary, who's just graduated and probably get $4,000 a month. That's a lot of money
It
because you can
is
still save a lot of money there. So
when you don't have
savings will be.
comparatively less expenses, right?
Exactly. But when you on the opposite side, when you come to Australia, the rents are higher, the cost of living is higher. And I compare it to milk and bread, right? That's the basic stuff that you're
Correct.
comparing it with.
Yes.
Everything was twice the price, and the salaries were still the same. So suddenly my savings go down because the expenses are more. So
Right.
financially, that was the difference. But when you say where can you make more money, I think uh, Australia has great opportunity. You can work more than one jobs if you are, if you're willing to put that extra effort.
Effort. Yeah.
Um, there are so many other venues apart from just working. Investing in properties. Using negative gearing as doing
As a
cheating on the
tool. Yes.
tax, and
Yes. Right.
there's so
Right.
many.
Right. Right.
So I think it really, when it comes to finances, it's your acumen towards finance, how much you want to make and what are the different venues you can make. And Australia gives you that. There's so many ways you can make money here, as opposed to America, where you get stuck in the rat race rut. It's just about your corporate life. You won't have time outside of that to think about anything, for that matter.
Right.
Which is what you get in Australia if you were coming here.
Right. So we have made the right choice. Is that what you tell me?
I know I have. Well, it's a country where, I mean, and especially Melbourne, I think work-life balance is like one of
Perfect.
the
Perfect. Yeah. One of the
best.
best. One of the
Yeah,
best.
one of the best. And you get so much time outside of work that you can actually think about doing these
Other things. Yes.
side
Yeah.
stuff which can make you more money than you were. And then there are so many ways to save on your tax as well. So if you get the right accountant, then
Oh, yes.
probably probably getting a lot more into your account.
Yes, 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 definitely. Okay, good accountants, we need you. Please, a lot of people studying accounting, and recently the migration is going towards this. But yes, accountants are the occupation who got scrutinized a lot these days. And like a lot of accountants, it's just because of the lot of applicants. But yes, we will talk about it later. Okay, so being a mom, being a corporate lady, running your own business, and being a wife, managing house, how hard is that in Australia for you?
Oh, I mean, how hard it is in Australia, it is a challenge because you
Sure.
don't have the support of your family, which you would have if you were in your own country, where you would have an extended family, your mother-in-law, your mother, your sister-in-law, the motherly uh, figures. Even father, right? Like my father can, if I was back at home, he would play with the kids, he would take them out. So obviously it's much more challenging as a migrant, to do multiple things. As a mother, you're always competing and living in the guilt of,
Right.
you haven't prioritized your kid today. And
Yeah.
it's funny, this morning, as we were trying to figure out the call,
Podcast time.
I'm
Yes.
like, okay, if I am not doing this at 10 o'clock, maybe I can take my kids out to the park. It's that constant, where
Right.
can I take out
Right.
this little bit of time to spend more time with them,
With them.
as compared to if I was surrounded by cohort of people who could take care of my kids without guilt. Like if my parents are here at the moment,
Right.
and I couldn't be grateful enough to both my in-laws and my parents who have supported us in this journey to where we have. They have constantly been here when my son was born, when my daughter was born, to support me to go back to work, look after my kids. It reduces the guilt. It doesn't diminishes it.
Right.
It reduces the guilt that they are in the hands of somebody who is going to give them much more love than we as parents do.
Right.
So
And capable, more capable than us, right?
oh, absolutely. I mean, they're more capable in spoiling them too, but I think our kids deserve it. Being migrants, they don't get spoiled often. So
Right.
sometimes I feel, that's okay. Like I got much more spoiled when I was with my grandparents
Grandparents.
growing
Correct.
up.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely right. Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. It's not a job that you could do single-handedly. You definitely need a tribe if you want to be successful in in a country which doesn't have your family and a
Support
support
system.
system.
Support system, basically.
Mhm.
Yes. And see, Australia does not have this maid culture as well that we used to have back home. That someone can come to your house and help you with at least the household things, so you don't have to, like you don't mind paying, but still, it's
You
it's
don't find
illegal to
people to
do it.
help. It's true. It's true. It's true.
So at some point, the system needs to improve. If someone's want to work and if they're getting paid, and you are acting as an employer, what's wrong in there? Like you would just pay them hourly rates. But yes, something that government doesn't like it. So yes. Now tell me about this. Have you faced any cultural bias or racism or anything while climbing the corporate ladder, or even in routine life, like any incident happened to you that you want to share, or something overall you have seen, you observed with other migrants that you got to share?
So you're in a luck. I somehow think I'm a very classical case who's gone through a lot in the last 10 years of my journey in Australia. Um, and it's brought me much more stronger on this side than I was. So I'll share two stories, one in corporate, and then I'll share one in personal, while I had many in personal life. So I'll start with the personal one, which a lot of people know. In 2008, no, 2010 or 11, there was a huge cry and shout out about the racial discrimination that was happening in Australia to the limit that it was being shown in news in other countries.
Right.
Uh, One of the cases that happened was during that time with us, and I remember we used to live in the city, and we decided to go out for just an evening stroll to have some dinner. Um, it was just a couple of years after I migrated to this country, so I enjoyed living in the city and the bus. So there's a free tram, City Circle, which moves around in the city.
Yeah.
And we used to leverage that a lot. So I saw the tram standing in front of me, and I ran to get onto it because the other one would be another 15 minutes away. And as I walked in, and I went and I jumped into the train to hold the door so my friends could come in from behind. There were a bunch of teenagers ranging from about 9 years to about 18. 18 would be the tops. Who started to racially abuse me and started to tell me to get off the tram. They said, "You Punjabis, go back to your country." And I ignored, like we are not kids. So I knew they were a bunch of kids. I ignored. But they didn't stop. And they came at us. And if people don't know, Aussie kids don't look like kids. They are as huge as us in an adult form, right? So when they got up and they started to come towards me, just for my own safety, I thought I'm going to step out. And as I was stepping out, my husband walked in and he saw what was happening. And obviously he wasn't up to accept that kind of racial discrimination. And he started to pounce back at them to an extent that there was a physical fight. So the boys, about 8 or 9 boys, were punching onto my husband. I was in middle of them, so I got kicked a few times until the people on the road, or other friends. And if people don't know, in that era, there weren't too many Indians in this country. So there were very few Indians. So there were people who were watching us, but nobody really came in to help.
To help you out, right?
And it went on for about 30 seconds. And trust me, that 30 seconds felt like a lifetime of getting
Oh,
punched and kicked,
oh
right?
yes, yes.
Until a friend of ours, like as I said, I was being followed by a bunch of other friends who were coming. And as soon as they were coming, these kids realized we weren't alone. So they quickly jumped on the tram and the tram went off. Now, that was for me the very first and I still get goosebumps talking about it, Krunal, because it's an
Ah,
experience, very painful experience. But we didn't stop. We chased them and we reported. Luckily, at that time, there were about 300 cameras in the city center. There were cops everywhere on the roads because of these things happening a little bit more often than they should have. Um, so we stopped the cops. We complained to them, and within that, half an hour span, they were able to catch 5 of those kids.
wow, great.
And that evening was very it's a memory engraved in our heads forever, because then what I want to also talk about, and what is important, is yes, you get racially discriminated, but very often we just walk away feeling bad and feeling victimized. But the action that we took led us to a point that we identified those people. They went to the court. We did not get involved. One of the cops helped us through the whole process. We went to the police station a few times to identify the kids. The kids were then sent to the correctional facilities,
Yep.
and they wrote an email, handwritten email, to apologize. Now, it's an important thing to never let go of an experience like this, because people often feel scared, intimidated, and do not take an action to correct it. That's a little thing that you do that makes a difference. And I'm sure those kids wouldn't do that to another Indian or
Yep.
another person of culture, knowing that that was such a big journey that they had to go through. They had to appear at the court, they had to go for the services that they had to do. It was needed. It needed
Right.
to be
It is.
done.
It is must. Right. You're right. Absolutely right. I want to share the incident that I witnessed, like similar to this. Yes, I was watching. We went to watch a movie at Sunshine Cinema, similar like 2008-9. Yes. No, 11, I would say. And similar incident happened, and people like we went there to watch an Indian movie. So there are a lot of Indians there because it's an Indian movie, and couple of Indian couples, they were there, and then somebody, yes, I don't know what's the, they were no kids, these people who are beating them, they were no kids, and everybody was like watching the show, and somebody started making a video, and I said, why nobody's helping them? I got punched as well, but yeah, I just tried, at least to grab those guys and stop them and all that. So yes, if guys, if you see someone like this, in this situation, just try and help. It's not good to shoot a video or just like watch it. It's happening. No, if you don't take any actions, then yes, it will happen to someday. It will happen to you, and nobody will take any action. So
Yep.
don't just watch the show. Just at least help someone.
Yeah.
And then there was a bad experience, and then yes, I don't know what's wrong with that people, like just started hitting. I said, what's wrong, and it could be a small thing like get off the tram thing, and it was a parking issue, some sort of parking issue, and it's like this incident is that was a major incident, like I can't forget about it as well till date, and that happened to you. So yes, of course, it's hard memory, like that you never wanted to remember these things, but yes, it's still stick in your mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
horrendous, right?
Horrendous, yeah. And I think that the important takeaway, and I've always been somebody who looks back at these experiences and says, what did I learn? What did I take away? And my takeaway really was, yes, it was a bad experience, but the cops or the police in this country aren't the way we have grown up. And as I
Oh yes.
started, I said the way we have brought up, the things that we have seen in our country kind of limits us from doing things here. And if I would have thought that the cops are going to trouble me because I'm complaining, and they are also Caucasian, they might not help me, I would have never gone through this. But that experience with them was so seamless, so smooth, and so supportive. Like, they were so supportive of us, going up to them, because we are helping them to clean and make
Clean
Melbourne
the
a more
mess. Yeah.
livable country.
Right.
So there
Yep.
is nothing wrong in going and making that complaint. And I think that's where most of the people or the bystanders are worried about what would happen to them if they got involved. And this is a happy story of them getting involved, and a result being a good one. It wasn't,
Good one.
no,
Yes. Yes.
nobody was killed. Yes, we got few punches and stuff, but the good story is that we have a society and a community which is so supportive of each other, that there are few elements, even if they are dirting the environment, we've got better ones to work with. So that's something that's really important for people to understand when they migrate into this country, that the structure of support is good. They don't know what they don't know, but they will not know if we don't tell them.
Correct, correct. And long run, so since how long since you haven't heard this sort of incident? Like, let's say,
Forever. I just remember the second incident that happened to me was in a chat store, where a woman got a little aggressive with me, which was about uh 7 years ago. Yeah, I think I've never heard anything on those lines, but I also know that this country has become very vocal about these kind of incidents, and people
incident.
are aware that they are not going to get away with it. And I
Yeah,
think that's what is good, that people are careful. But from the corporate side, I think the struggle that has now come to is that people are constantly fearing what not to say anymore. So
oh, yeah.
so there was, like, this is the
They
other
don't want to
side.
get offended, right? Right, right, right.
So from the point where people would say any
Anything,
irrational thing,
anything,
to
yeah,
a point now people don't want to say anything, is
anything,
it's
yes.
a lot. We need to find a middle ground, right? Like, if you want these communities and the cultures to work together, it is important for us to know what's the right balance of things that shouldn't be said versus what should be said, and what can or cannot be done. um, and that's where we are working also as APOC, to bring different cultures together
Yeah.
to
To
learn
know,
about,
at least
to
know the
know,
culture, right,
be
right.
aware, ask the questions before you assume and take an action, right?
Right.
Ask the
Or
right
make a
questions.
decision. Before you make a decision, at least you know the
Absolutely.
person, what's their culture is, how they feel, how they behave, and that sort of things. Now, it's really, no, you're right, absolutely right. We don't, like, whatever the community or ethnicity we are coming from, we are stranger to the other culture, right? So, and it's great to know. And your platform is one of the basic platform, I would say, that to know the other cultures, right? So it's not, APOC is not culturally limited for any culture, right?
It's
So
not. No.
anybody
Yep.
can come. Yeah,
Yes.
great. So you can have different culture, different people, and you can know. And yeah, amazing, amazing.
Yep.
I don't have more words, but yes, it's great.
No,
It's
thank
great.
you. Thank you so much, Kunal.
So tell me about these some misconceptions that migrants might have about Australia. So about yourself, like you might have those. You told us really BTs and all, but yes, that sort of things. That if you are overseas, there's a different conception about overseas. Any country, I would say, US or Australia, but mostly let's talk about Australia. So what people have most misconception, and what is the reality?
Interesting question. I haven't thought this one in terms of misconception, but in my opinion, I think one of the misconceptions that flew in for Australia was the racial thing for a very, very long time. That people who were abroad thought that uh, people of our culture don't fit in. Everybody who's an Indian is a driver or a Uber driver. I mean, I don't. It's
Cab driver, right?
a cab driver,
Yeah.
but that's just for every country. Like, people
Yeah.
think that Indians go to other countries to drive their cars and become drivers. Unfortunately, that's not true. Many of the CIOs, CTOs, the execs of the big organizations are Indians, of different cultural backgrounds as well. So no, we don't. But I think one of the very underrated ability of migrants is their ability to work hard. We thrive through our hardworking abilities, and that's why we don't assume any work to be small. So I see a lot of students coming here and doing side jobs to make the money, to make the ends meet, which is not a very common thing for somebody who's grown up in Australia. In terms of, yes, they do their work and they work hard, but migrants have that extra add-on pressure to make the ends meet, and a lot of these also support their families back home, so there's
Right.
an added pressure. So I think the assumption that the life is going to be easy in this country is not true.
It's not.
It's not true
Absolutely.
at all. It's
Right.
never easy, but it is what you make of it.
Correct.
That's one of the biggest assumption that people who want to leave their countries and come to another country to make a living is to think, yeah, it's going to be better. Especially Melbourne, it's a top rated livable countries in the world. There are other challenges, as you said, there is no house help, there is no tribe, there is, when you're going through those bad days, you don't have a family member who you can just go to and say,
Correct.
I'm not
Not even
feeling
like
good.
friends don't have time here, right? Yes, everybody has a time to have a beer with you, but yes, in these hard times, no, thank you.
Yeah,
Right. So
so
that happens.
exactly.
That happens. It's a fact. It's a fact,
Yeah,
right?
it's a fact.
And other misconception is about finances, money. Also, I would say that people think that money grows on tree here, and people make millions. They got a backyard. They got a tree, and they just pick their
Pick
notes
the
in the
money.
morning. That
Interesting you say that, because people often think that when people go abroad, they're making like minting money. But uh, as I said, finances is one thing that is very personal. How good, and I cannot talk highly enough for those, finance coaches, the people who here come and have made money, who are training the newcomers to come here. And unfortunately, a lot of the communities, culturally diverse communities specifically, and now that I work much more closer to them, are very averse to learning these things from others. So even like life coach, finance coach, relationship coach, corporate coaches, leadership coaches, they feel, what can they teach us? It's
right.
we already know everything, we have learned everything. But when you come to this country, you don't know how things work here, and it is very different from whichever country you're coming from. Africa, Japan, China, any Asian country, India, or Europe. The things are different here, so you
It
need
is.
to learn from people who have gained the knowledge in the lay of the land, and they know what are the ways to work around it. Not everybody knows what the tax system is here, not everybody knows what's the legal system here. You might be a tax expert in your country, but that doesn't qualify you to understand the loopholes in the tax system
in
here.
in,
So
in Australia, right? Right.
so
You're right.
I think that these coaches are very highly underrated in the migrant communities, and I think they should be used more efficiently, and they can really help you mint the money, plant the money tree in your backyards, and really start making more money. Not every house comes with a money plant, but you can always plant one and grow your own.
Plant one in your house, right? And absolutely. See, that's something I had the same misconception about Australia. I thought, I'm from Gujarat, so people feel that Gujaratis are most of them are businessmen and all that. And I said, yes, financial coaching. I'm from Gujarat. I don't need any financial coaching. Like what is that? So why the hell do I ask someone how to manage my money? And then I realized, no, you can't. Like you need to have that guidance, and you have to have that mentoring at some stage. That okay, and yes, if you are single-handed, you're yourself. That's it's okay. But when you go and grow, then you need some sort of these things. So yes, it is. These are the main misconceptions we have, and thank you for that. So now we're coming towards the settlement part. So let's say you get migrated, you came here, you got a good job, you had a struggle, and so now from growing, so let's say business, job, or any sort of things, how to achieve high, how you get there from ground level, like basic level to the where you are right now.
Look, the simple principle in Australia is really firstly knowing what you want, having a goal, being absolutely clear what your vision or the goal is. And I think people think these are big words, but it is important that in some form, you know what it is. For some people, it is climbing the corporate ladder. For others, it might be setting up a business and becoming independent of a corporate ladder. The others could be making a lot of money, and they might be inclusive, but they are not the same thing. You can make money here without climbing the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
Or you could climb the corporate ladder and not get paid. So you would find a lot of CTOs in this country who are not paid very well because they're a small company
Right.
as compared to a big company CTO. That there are only few companies. This is not US. I think people need to understand this is not India, this is not US, it's not UK. It is one of those countries where there aren't too many opportunities to grow. But what is definitely there is a possibility to expand in different direction. So I think one of the things is that you must know what you want to do. Like,
Right.
what's your objective when you come here? And the second part, which is immensely important, and a lot of migrants underrated because of the cultural belief, is in this country, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it
Absolutely.
and when you migrate, or when you are here as a migrant in this country, I think the belief that I am highly educated, I'm highly experienced, I was the CTO of Google or Amazon, and now I'm here and I can't even bloody get a job of a project manager, or nominal. It is not because you are incapable or incapable of doing it. It's purely you just don't know who to reach out or who to ask for. This is a country of mateships,
Yeah.
and there is nothing wrong in that. People do like to work with people who they trust. It is true that skills can be developed. What cannot be developed is the trust. So
Trust.
if you really want to be successful, and after having that goal set out, you need to know who do you need in your tribe to make you achieve that goal,
Right.
and who is such an important part of your success in this country. And it is so underrated in migrant communities. And that saddens me, because in the last 10 to 12 years of my journey, I have really seen people, and my husband for that purpose. So it's I've seen him thrive because of people he knew, not what he knew. And it's amazing. So I'm a master's, right, and he's an engineer. So he's but he makes more money than I do, much more money than I do, right? It's still a household money, so I don't get upset
It
about
comes
it.
to your same bank account, right?
It's
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't get upset about it. But the fact it is because he has this amazing networking skill. He would walk into the room and he would walk out with two people who he would connect with, who would give him a business, give him a job, whatever he wants. I mean, he has jumped ladders, he's changed careers, he's started few businesses, and all of them are thriving. Not because he knew how to do the business, it's because who knew
Right.
how to do the business, and who was willing to mentor him and give him that first break. So I think that's such an important part of success in this country,
Right.
and the settlement part as well, because once you know what you want, who you need in your journey, the settlement really is it's
Easy.
easy.
It's
It's
easy. It
easy.
becomes easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about this. What is the best thing happened to you? Of course, yes, kids, family. That's the most amazing thing. You can't minus out that, right? So what is the second? So first is the kids, right? What is the second best thing happened to you in Australia?
Second best thing, that I still want to go back to my country, by the way, just for the
Oh.
record, for all the migrants who are thinking that, oh my god, she's living a dream.
Why
um,
everybody's having this dream? I say this is like whoever's like past a certain level in Australia, everybody wants to go back. Why is that?
Look, I've always been very close to my family, and all my siblings who I've been close growing up with, none of them want to leave India.
Uh,
They're very well settled. They're doing very well. There are so many opportunities back. When I left the country, there were fewer, but now
no,
even
it's great. Yeah.
it's grown up. For people who want to do business, there is more population there, right? So you have
Mm.
even the smallest product has a higher chance of making money there as compared to here.
Right.
So financially, it is no lesser than this country. The tribe is there. You don't have to strive to make a tribe. It's just existent. It's just people like you, people are you've grown up with them. It's just natural and normal integration. um, yeah, and then the support, like there's nothing. These are the three things that probably misses for me here, is why I
Yeah.
would still want to go
I
back.
think for everybody is the same. This is something like the comfort level you get at your home country. That's
Yep.
that's completely different than
Yep.
yes, in a migrant country. Correct.
But I
So
will answer your question though. What is
please.
the best thing that has happened? And I think the fact that I went through the coaching journey, that
Right.
was that was the turning point in my life. And everything that I talk about, the struggles of migrants were there for me, existent. And when I did my coaching, I realized oh my God, I'm living in my shell. I need to expose myself, say more yeses,
Right.
like saying yes to a podcast, saying yes to meet a stranger, saying it's changed the way I perceive people around me, and my growth in itself. It's changed that. So I think the second best thing after my family, my husband, my kids, I mean, that's the best thing that
That's
happened
the
to
first
me.
thing. Yeah. That's always first, right?
Absolutely. So the second best is, yes, this is this the
What
coaching journey is
what
being the
coaching? I
best.
didn't get it. Like, elaborate. So as being as a coach, that's journey is the best, or you got coaching for this?
So yes, so the way I pursued coaching was
Right.
I got coached first. I had
Right.
my coach first, and I still do. So luckily, the university that I did my studies from, there was a as a part of an offering was leveraging the other coaches who have already done this work, right? So I have had my own coaching journey, and then the transformation that I saw in me is what's inspired me to go back and give it back to the community to say,
Great.
if I have, and the challenges that I've faced, I've heard it so many times over and over again that it tells me there is an absolute need for people like us to go and change the way we have been wired in our lives.
Right.
And that needs to happen at a grassroots, and it's never too late. I'm
Yeah.
40. Yeah, it's never too late. And
Never too late. No,
I
I'm
worked
studying. I'm studying bachelor's, so yeah.
it's never too late. It's never too
Never
late.
too late. No.
So I think that's that transformation from being in the shell to really opening up. I've always been an introvert. I never liked meeting people. And you could say that when I was questioning you, what's the purpose of this podcast? It's like you it's not an
Right.
immediate
Right.
yes when people say that I want to meet you. It just takes me a little bit warming up.
To
But
get to know
I am.
these things,
Yeah.
right?
But when I am, I have become more open in terms of being accepting of differences that people bring onto the table. So yes, that's the second best thing that's happened to me in this
That's
country.
perfect. No, absolutely amazing. This is some, yes, I get it. Like a coach, getting coached and coaching someone and showing them the direction. That's the best thing. Like it's kind of a teaching thing, and that's something not academic teaching. It's life teaching. So amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
I would say that. Yes, I'm with you. Okay, so now this is you just mentioned that, let's say if we plan to go back to India. Recently, India and Australia has made a trade agreement. And do you have any incidents with that, or any encounters with that trade agreement that's happening, that people get more business opportunity, and any of your clients or any members with Epoch, are they getting more benefit of that?
I don't have a lot of business uh, people who are running like bigger businesses where this would be in the picture.
Mhm.
Uh, but I'm pretty sure, like my husband does an iron trading, so I think there is a great opportunity for him. We haven't explored it; it's just so new at the moment that
Right.
I would be wrong to say I know anything on that line where
Mhm.
there has been a direct benefit to somebody at this stage.
So now, tell me about these current situations about Australia. Let's say currently Australia is facing employee shortage. We are going with the probable possible recession and the inflation, and like people are not getting rental crisis as well. People are not getting rental houses these days. It's struggle for them to get a rental house and all that. What's your opinion on that? So is it usual? Have you seen that before in your previous years in Australia? And like last recession you were in US, how you compare this like 2023 to 2008 9?
I think people have become less flexible, right?
Mm.
So when I came into 2007 as a migrant, so there are two stories. Yes, there is rising interest rates. There is an impact on buying houses, first home, second home, investment property, whatever. There is an impact, absolutely.
Right.
But when we came in 2007, the interest rates were much higher than what they are right now, even after having an increase. I think,
Really?
yeah. Yeah. So the first home that we bought in so right now it's gone a little bit high, but I remember just before what was it called? The Royal Commission, around the Royal
Broken.
Commission
Yes. Right. Yep.
stuff that
Yep.
happened,
Yep.
and we were buying a property at that time. We were paying very similar interest rate, which it is at the moment, right? Because of the COVID, it went down, but we all knew it was not permanent. We all knew it. So if people made choices knowing that this is temporary, and now if there is a struggle, uh, they hadn't had the vision. They weren't thinking long term, right? And that is why, again, I have to say this: coaches are important
It is
because
important. Yes.
they
Yes.
help you. I mean, it's you. It's important for you to understand what's your long term objective, what are your short term goals, what are your immediate wins, and what's happened fine in the financial market is people have leveraged the short term wins and made decisions which haven't been on their side for the long term uh, changes that were going to come. I mean, we were talking about this all through COVID, that this is going to be temporary. The governments are borrowing so much money, so much money. It is going to come from taxpayers' money. Like what does it take for people to understand that is your bloody
It's your
money,
money. Right.
that you
Right.
need to kind of, you're getting it at the moment, but you'll have to pay it in some way or form. It's a long
Right.
term, short term thing. Um, the other thing also was that when I came in 2008, we shared our rented property with somebody else. We were flexible to adjust. I think that has moved. People have become
Adjustment
very,
is the key. Yeah.
yeah, they they're solo, they want to live by themselves. There's less flexibility around room sharing, house sharing. So I think that's, again, you've got more people coming in, less properties in the market to rent out, so there's always that challenge. I'm not very close to the recent migrants in the student communities to know how they are doing this, but obviously there is a challenge. I think one of the shortages that workplace keeps talking about, which is in my
Employee shortage.
my head, is not, yeah, so work wise, when organizations are saying there's shortage of talent, and when you actually touch the ground in the reality, it's not true. So I think there isn't a talent shortage. The organization are struggling because they are not flexible in terms of how they want to fulfill their talents, right? Even now, when people are migrants and they have the talent, they are being scrutinized against their working visas.
Mhm.
What they are not allowed to do, student visas. These are people who have worked and done the work very well in their own country. They came here on a student visa. That doesn't make them less qualified to do the job as compared to one who are citizens of this country, right?
Yeah.
So I think these are certain hindrances which I see is the roadblock. It's not really the shortage of talent. It's more, in last 2 3 years, and I will come back to the fact who that because that networking hasn't happened, you
Yeah.
don't know who's available in the market. Like I constantly keep seeing, yes, there is a shortage in a lower grade work, maybe, in travel industry
The
because it
tourism
shut
industry,
down
the
tourism.
restaurant industry. Yes. Right. Right. Right.
Because people redirected their talent, they went into another industry for what happened. Yes, there is, but if you're looking at corporate, I think there is a lot of talent. It just needs to be moved. It needs
Moved.
to be
No,
you
I
need.
think I think that's what happened, Vineti. Those who got chances, like doing groundwork in this COVID era, they got good jobs, corporate jobs, and now there's no one to do the ground job because of good pay, good like salary structure and all that. So people move, they move around, and when there is a space in a hierarchy that you can go, you move up to the steps, then ground level is drying out. So currently restaurants are struggling to find the cooks, the waitresses, the hospitality industry, like accommodation industry, finding it's really hard for them to find people. So groundwork is struggling right now. So that's the harsh reality I've been facing. I'm getting a lot of employers, they're saying yes, corporate, everybody's get a good job. That's what my indication is. The people are getting good jobs, people are getting higher jobs in the hierarchy, but yes, the bottom level is drying out.
Yes, no, I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, in that sense, yes, there is a shortage of talent
Talent.
in certain industry
Yeah.
as compared to the corporate or the industry which is I suppose it's called blue collar as
Blue
compared
collar.
to
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
industry. So yeah, it is what we anticipated after COVID. It is no surprise. I think it's really up to the government at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not it's
It's not
about
a
my paycheck.
not
Yeah,
a
it's
job.
about my paycheck discuss this and what I should and they shouldn't be doing. But
Correct.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think the other thing that I'm seeing a big transition after COVID is student crowd is reducing. Students are,
That's went down like anything. Went down like anything. So I would say if it was like numbers are not reflecting it, but yes, I don't know. Are they real? Who checks it? So yeah, pretty much. It's hard to say. Hard to say. It's not there. It's like from I would say China and India, both countries. Not many students are moving to Australia these days because other countries are open.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
and we
So
we opened pretty late, right? So people.
we are not open yet.
So
Not
you
yet,
bear
but
the you bear the consequences of the action, I suppose, which is the shortage that we will have to face.
face. Right, you're right. So now we're moving to the next segment, success segment. So tell me about this. According to you, when a person is successful, what do you think, or what's your opinion on success? Like, I'm in Australia, when I can consider myself a successful person.
It's such a subjective question,
It is,
and
it is. But
uh,
yes, I just need your opinion. Like somebody
yeah.
says, okay, if I earn my bread and butter for my family, nice house, nice car, that's a success for me. For some people, that's the success. But what is actual success? How to get there?
Uh, as I said, it's a very subjective thing depending on which phase of the life you are in.
That
Some
you are.
people, having a family is a success. For some people, having bread on the plate is success. Some people, and it's interesting that early this year, I had a family coming from overseas, and they looked at us and they said, "So, Vineti, do you think you're successful?" And I said, "I am happy. I am very satisfied. I feel fulfilled, and I feel I'm contributing from where I am on what I'm doing. Uh, I think I will leave a legacy, which is what I wanted to in my life. So if those are the definition for me to be successful, then I think I have attained success. Obviously, there is no nirvana of success. There
Of
is
course.
always something more. There's something more you could do. But I think for me, if you are happy in the place, you're happy in your personal life, you're happy in your professional life, you're happy how things are moving for you. It's not stagnant. You're still moving, and the way they are moving, at the pace they are moving, I think that's success.
Right.
And it's again, very subjective and very
Subjective.
philosophical
So
answer,
tell me
Krunal.
about
But
this. No, no, no. I'm okay with that. This is a very satisfactory answer. But let's say if someone's trying to get good life in Australia, you must have been through it, and your husband's there, and like your joint accounts must be flowing with the money and all that. But so let's say, let's say if I want to, like somebody wants to, a new migrants wants to, what could be the average income in 2023 they should aim for to get a good life in Australia?
at the moment, I mean, when I started with 70,000 per annum. That was my starting salary as I got the first job, and I think that was good for me. I was more than happy.
Good
It was as a double income, no kids, family at that time, newly married. We wanted to travel, we wanted to explore Australia. Um, it was pretty good, like for that matter. And I think from that time, considering the inflation and everything else, that amount still is not too bad. It's a good, like I'm looking at roles, and if you are a fresh starter, if you are getting at anything around 100 I think that's a very very very
decent amount.
modest, yeah, very modest start. And it give you a platform. I think it's more about getting in, because one thing that people need to understand if they're in the corporate or even in business is what you get today is no reflection of what you can ask tomorrow, right?
Correct.
So I think one thing that people usually, when I came from India, was, when in India you look for a job, they ask you for your previous employer's pay slip, and then they decide how much they're going to
How
give
much you
you.
get paid?
Yeah. When I came here, I was amazed that you ask the market rate. You don't ask the market rate of the role that you're applying for, not saying that because I'm getting 70K now, I can only ask for 85K. No,
No.
you
You
have
can
to do
jump
your
from
research.
70 to 120. Easy.
Absolutely.
Right.
You have to do your research. You have to know what the organization offers, what you need to know the size of the organization. You need to know the people who are getting in, what rates are they getting in that organization. So depending on your role and the organization you're getting the offer for, you ask for the money, and there is always room for negotiation. There is, in Australian market, there is, if you thought that if you said no to an offer, you're wrong. You just
You're wrong.
ask.
Absolutely wrong.
Yeah. If you don't,
Negotiate.
negotiate. So
Yeah.
I think if you get your foot into the market, I think that's a great start. And I don't say undervalue. Like I always felt that I couldn't start the role because I did not want to. And it's a learning, right? It's a learning that I'm sharing, that I could have gotten a smaller role for 60K or 50K, but I was not willing to do that because I felt that I deserved more, which delayed the process of me getting into the market altogether, right? But if I had known this then, I would have taken my 50K job and asked for 100K in the next job. What the heck?
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
I think it is important to get started. You're getting around 100K ballpark, 90, 100K is a very good start. You've got this experience as well, I think. But do not undersell either. I think one thing is very important is not to undersell.
Yeah.
If you know your worth, go for it. If you don't know your worth, get a career coach.
That's it.
Just get a career coach. It'll help you to place yourself in the right position.
Now join Epoch first, so then you will be guided. Yeah, right?
You can get amazing coaches
Yes.
in Epoch. There's no doubt about it. So please join. But if that's too much of it's a lot of people feel it's too much at a small time. Get the coach that you want to succeed in. It is so important to get that.
It is excellent. So this is one of the best piece of advice, So from your experience, all together, like let's extract out everything and give the best piece of advice who's migrating to Australia for a new migrant, like fresh student, or they're getting residency, or whoever's like getting migrated. What is the best piece of advice for them?
The best piece of advice for anybody coming into this country is network. Find a place which fits into you, what you want to do. And there's so many events happening across all the time. Find the events that fit into your objective, your goals. Go meet people, build your relationships, and nurture them. Don't just meet and move away. Just know who you need to connect with. Meet with them on coffee or an evening drink. That's what everybody loves in Australia, either a coffee in the morning or a drink in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Meet people, network. That's what's going to make you successful in whatever stream. So business or corporate or in any industry you're in.
Podcast.
Yes.
Right. So okay. So now let's say somebody has came to Australia, get migrated, growth, they got succeeded, they got good job, and now they are at certain level, and that's where your role as a life coach comes in, to grow further from there, right? So what is the best way to grow? Let's say if somebody is in a corporate ladder, as you achieved, right? So you reach at the top of the corporate ladder, and now you're thinking like, what should I do? So some people are business minded. Some are, like they don't. Some people cannot do the business. It's not their cup of tea. So how they strategize their further goals in Australia for the growth purpose?
First, define what growth means to you, right? Like when we come to our age, we have potentially achieve financial goals. Probably got a house, have kids if you wanted one,
Mm-hmm.
or you're in a corporate place where you're pretty comfortable with what you're doing. So I'm talking about people who are at that 40-45 age.
Yeah.
I think next really thing is understanding what your passion and purpose is. A lot of us lose that, and in the rat race, forget about it and continue to do what is important and necessary to do. And I don't undermine that in any way and form, because it's a lot of hard work to bring bread on the plate itself. Um, but once you have, achieved that level of
That
success,
level of success, right?
then it's really important to understand what's next for you. And to do that, you need to understand what's your purpose, what's your passion, and how can you contribute. So a lot of people who come to me, they have done what they have done, and they're one thing that they want to do next is to be able to contribute.
Correct.
And contributing in this sense doesn't mean financial donation, right? Contributing as a person you are. So all the learnings that you have gained over the years, how can you use that learning to help
Someone else. Yeah.
someone else? Because there is no better reward than somebody coming and telling you that you made a difference to them in a good way, right?
Indeed.
So I
Indeed.
think
It's so
it is important.
so satisfying.
So satisfying. So it is important that after that point when you don't know what you need to do, is to find what's that passion and purpose and pursue it reluctantly.
Reluctantly, yes.
Yes, reluctantly pursue it. Like, there is nothing called failure, right? I
No,
always
no, no. There is no
tell it.
failure. So
Yeah.
no.
So just go for it. Like, it might take, like when we started APOC, we started as a social experiment on a Facebook group. There was no agenda, but we both were passionate about helping people from professional background, because we felt that we had learned over the years, being in Australia, what were the gaps, where were the people struggling the most. And we hit the nail on the head, because we weren't alone. There's so many of us who are there.
On the same page, yeah.
And we have, every day when we work on it, it's with the same passion and same purpose, and you don't get tired, you don't get exhausted, you lose, you learn, but you get up in the morning and you do it with the same, with the same strength on it. So I think it is such an important thing that once you have attained your success, and if you're still looking, like a lot of us would be like, oh, I've attained success, I'm going on a world tour, I'm going on a trip, that's what I want to do. Good, do it. But there will come a point when you would say, what next? Right? And at that stage, you need to look within and really ask yourself what's going to make you happy.
Right. So, okay, that's my next question. You're quite spot on. Okay. So, for you, what is like now at this stage? Are you working towards the happiness or still growth in your career? So, tell us. And that could be a personal question. I cannot, like, if you tell me, I will cut this. But yes, I want to know.
No, I'm working towards balance, Krunal, and you can put it there, because I've got two very young kids, right? And I have I'm happy. I'm generally happy with where I am in my life. But when I'm constantly trying to find the balance between spending time with my kids and finding things that make me happy, which is doing community work, working at my professional work, and things that I'm doing outside of my family. So I'm at this stage striving to find the perfect balance, and I think that's going to continue till my kids are out of my house. It's something that I have got. I don't think so. It's ever has an entry or an exit time to get to that balance. But that's what I'm striving towards. It is important for me to do what gives my personal self-satisfaction, which is my work and my APOC community and my coaching. That is for me, and so are my kids. That satisfaction to see them become their version of successful, their version of happy, and finding the balance and the time to do both. That's what I'm striving towards at the moment.
No, this is that should be the ultimate aim, right? That's what I felt as well. That I'm good, I'm happy, and now striving towards it. So yeah, pretty intense. That's insight. Pretty much, like is that similar age people got the same thoughts? Is
I'm telling you, that's why we are called midlife crisis. It's just, it's amazing how you
right?
find the similar age people having the similar problems and the
Similar
similar
problems. Yeah.
solutions.
Good, great. Right. So now I'm pretty much all done with my questions. Now we're moving towards the conclusion part. So I ask this question to all of my guests. So let's say if you have a chance to change something in Australian immigration policy, what would you suggest or what would you like to change?
I think some countries are not allowed to work on their holiday visas. I think that's changing, but I think that is for me it's very important. Letting people explore to work in the country on their tourist visa, that would be amazing. That's one for individuals, and one thing I think that really would help is allowing families to stay longer, allowing parents to come and stay longer. US has done it. They've got 10 years visa for the parents. um, I think that's one thing I would love to see to change. We so need that as migrants in this country, that support. I've been lucky that I constantly have my parents here. I couldn't have done it without them. I just couldn't have been where I am today if it wasn't for them stepping in every time we had a big challenge of balancing work versus our personal lives. So I would love to see them getting some kind of longer term residency in this country.
Yep. And it's a pain, like for parents. Yes, if you want to keep them, it's very expensive, and the insurance and all that. So yeah, it is something some we need. See, there was some movement happened a few years ago, and government has responded to that movement, giving parents a longer term visa. But that's also like not as cheap as visitor visa. It's
I
expensive.
just felt that it was a tick in the box. That's what they did.
Right.
It
Yeah.
didn't feel at all that it benefited.
To the
Anyways,
community.
that's a whole different story. But I think, yeah. So in my opinion, having something which is more financially or economically viable product that they could take out, that would be amazing.
Yeah, great. So final question is that do you really recommend someone to move or get migrate to Australia?
If you're going to leave your home country, then Australia is the country to move.
Correct.
And the thing is, if you're going to leave your home country.
No, great, amazing. Thank you so much. And I this is personal question that does money buy happiness?
No.
No, okay, great.
No.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you so much. Okay, we pretty much time spot on at 11:30. So I'll just conclude this. Thank you, Vineti. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been an amazing journey with you. And in your Australian journey is one of the inspiring for many women's, men, and any migrant community whoever's trying to get into Australia and making a difference in Australian and way of life. It's I feel that you are one of the gem that who is doing something for community, something for migrant community, I would say, and which is an extra.
Okay.
I would love to see this work keep going on and forever, and helping migrants who are in Australia getting settled, and I wish that not just Australia, you expand your vision towards the other countries as well, like where other migrants going too, and struggles everywhere. It's not just Australia; it struggles everywhere. So we wish that your organization grows multinational and helps a lot of people amongst migrants who are struggling basically, and to get identity, get their niche worked out in migrant country. So thank you very much again for joining us, and it was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you so much, Krunal. It was lovely to attend this, and I think it is such a great start of work that you're doing. Any support you need, anybody in your community who wants to connect with me, I'm more than happy, to connect and help them if they need any.